stiff, regular.
I listened to the first 5-10 minutes on the phone. I was picking up my daughter from ballet, and now the computer screen, so I can see these great slides. Can you talk about, you know, some of these shafts? What kind of player should be using them? And what's the advantage of, for example, this technology here? Is this going to allow you to make a lighter shaft that's still pretty strong, or what's the advantage of this technology?
Exactly.
This 700.
First, I will be going into a little more detail of each shaft in the presentation as we get down the line. But to answer your second question, yes, the uniqueness of this material, given its tensile strength and high modulus rating, allows the manufacturing, the design and the manufacturing of the shaft to have a stiffer region. In this case, it's used in, as I mentioned, the GP and the M9003, and specifically the tip location. So what we're able to do is use one ply of material to increase the stiffness or the strength of the shaft rather than maybe 3 or 4 plies of material, which allows us to, again, create a lighter weight shaft that's also stronger and stiffer. That's exactly it, John.
Okay. Thank you.
Let me run up and down the list here again, Bill. Nope, we're all set right up to here.
Okay. So, Tour AD Woods shaft for 2016 offerings. The first shaft, Tour AD GP6S. Tour AD GP uses, again, as I mentioned, the T1100G material technology designed for a mid-launch and low spin. Second shaft would be the Tour AD M9003. Uses the T1100G material technology, low launch, low spin. These two shaft profiles are going to be classified as a stiff tip, and I would say for a higher swing speed, better player. Not to say that the 50-gram lighter weight, softer shafts should be not considered for a slower swing speed, but they will have a stiffer profile and they will help launch the ball lower. The Tour AD MJ uses the DI third generation of material technology. It's designed for a mid to high launch and a low to mid spin type ball flight. A good all-around shaft. As I mentioned earlier, 14 tour wins this year, so very popular on the tour. Tour AD MT is basically going to be a stiffer version of the MJ, if you will. Uses the third generation of our DI technology, designed for a mid-launch and low to mid-spin type profile. The Tour AD GT. This is going to use our first generation of DI material technology, designed for a mid-launch and mid-spin. Close relative to the MJ shaft. As you can see, it's going to produce a little bit higher launch and a little bit more spin. Tour AD BB. This would be also using our DI first generation material technology, designed for a low to mid-launch and low spin type profile. I'd say a relative of the new GP shaft, definitely. Stiffer tip bend profile, a little softer in the butt section. Definitely a better player shaft with that in mind. The Tour AD DJ utilizes, again, our DI material technology, first generation of that, designed for a mid to high launch, mid-spin type profile. It's a softer tip shaft. It's going to be, again, a relative of the MJ and the GT shafts. And then, of course, the DI, our most popular model, utilizing the DI material technology. This would be the first shaft that we incorporated that technology into, designed for a high launch and low spin type ball flight. It too has a stiffer tip, and thus would be a relative of the BB, the MT, and the GP shafts. This next slide is really a great way to look at the bend profiles in total from our Tour AD line. I'll start down at the bottom of the slide. You can see the stiffness profile from stiffer being 5 to softer being 1. You'll note at the top we have our brand new shaft, the Tour AD GP. You'll note the tip is rated as a 5, very stiff. The center section, a 3, being firm, and the butt section, a 3+, kind of right in between firm and stiff. So, again, a very, I'd call it more of a one-piece profile with a little stiffer feeling in the tip. Again, designed for mid-launch and low spin. The M9003, also a very stiff tip shaft, but even stiffer in the midsection and a slight bit softer in the butt section. I should indicate that the star indicates the kick point. We classify these as all mid-kick shaft for the most part, but you can see each one has a little bit different kick point. In this case, the M9003 is slightly higher, if not the highest kick point shaft for a lower launch condition. Tour AD MJ, as you can see, it has a much softer tip with a medium rating of 2, firm plus in the center section, and a medium in the butt section, a medium plus. Again, designed for more of a mid to high launch, low to mid spin type profile. This works real good in fairway woods as well for players that need help to get the ball in the air, and complements the Tour AD MT, as I said earlier, a slightly softer version in this case. As you can see, the MT with a 3 rating in the tip, a 4 plus in the midsection, and a 2 in the butt section. So these two shafts do marry up well, where the MT and a driver, they might prefer the MJ and a fairway wood shaft as a complementing design. The Tour AD GT, as I mentioned, a mid-launch, mid-spin. As you can see, again, we kind of went to a softer tip in that shaft with a firm center section and a firm butt section, designed with the first generation DI material technology, more of a mid-kick shaft. Tour AD BB, back to a stiffer tip profile, similar again to the GP shaft at a 4 for stiff. Center section also a 4 for stiff with a soft butt section as a 1. That's what produces that low to mid launch and low spin. As you can see, it also has a little bit of a higher kick point. Complements the GT in that players with the BB shaft in their driver might like the feel of the GT shaft in their fairway woods. The next shaft would be the DJ. As you can see, it's the softest tip of the profiles that we offer. Medium in the butt and a stiff rating in the, a medium in the center section and a stiff rating in the butt section. Mid to high launch, mid spin. It too would kind of complement the DI shaft in the sense that it has a similar bend profile, not so much in the tip, but the overall feel of the shaft, where the DI has a 4 rating in the stiff. Again, a stiff tip shaft, medium, number 2 in the center section, as well as a 2 in the butt section. That's what that profile design is going to produce, a high launch to low spin type ball flight. Okay, so hybrid and iron offerings for 2016 along the Tour AD side. The Tour AD UT, going to be a 55 and 65 gram offering, mid to high launch, mid spin. Has a map of $220. I will point out that this shaft has a 350 tip OD. The next would be our HY, as I mentioned earlier, our brand new shaft for 2015 from a hybrid standpoint, 65, 75, 85, and 95 grams. More of a mid to high launch and mid spin shaft. It has a map of 175. Tour AD UT 85 and 95. This would be a brother to the 55 and 65. More of an iron shaft utility shaft, I should say, mid-launch, mid-spin with a little bit lower map of 170. The Tour AD DI hybrid, 75, 85, 95, and 105 gram weight offering, designed to promote a mid-launch and mid-spin type profile with a map of 220. And then, of course, our Tour AD irons. Tour ADs are available in 75, 85, and 95 grams. These would be discrete length shafts with a taper tip, designed to promote a mid-launch and mid-spin type profile with a map of $85. And then our heavier Tour AD irons available in 105 and 115 grams. This is a combo flex design. It's a very unique design in that it's somewhat like soft stepping or hard stepping when you go to build this iron set. I would recommend, if you have interest in this, to contact me and I can walk you through how that works from a standpoint of these particular shafts, but designed to produce more of a low to mid-launch, low to mid-spin ball flight with a map of 285. Certainly a better player's graphite iron shaft.
Hey, Bill, this is Frank. Let me ask you a question. And
Yes.
this will show how far back you go with graphite design. Whatever happened to the GAT shaft, the GAT shaft? Do you remember that? The iron shaft?
That's a good question. Yep, I do. The GAT shaft, GAT standing for Graphite Alloy Technology, was a shaft that we designed in the, it would have been the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s. and it utilized a very special